Welcome to Walking the Earth. Today we are in Kathmandu in the Boudnath area of the city, Buddha, at the Boudnath Stupa, one of the largest stupas in the world, a World Heritage Site, and one of the holiest places in the world for Tibetans. This is a site that is purportedly a relic ground of one of the previous Buddhas, and many Vajrayana practitioners from the Tibetan community, from the Tamang community, the Nuari community come and visit here and circumambulate, making rounds, mindfully, clicking off prayers on their prayer beads, turning the prayer wheels, doing full body prostrations all the way around, visiting a variety of shrines, lighting butter lamps, incense, etc. So this is my last night here in Nepal for some time, so I wanted to reflect a little bit upon it. I've been here for 40 days, and you know, it wasn't by design, but it all worked out that way, the prophetic 40. I have a deep love for South Asia in general. I was really hoping to go to Pakistan, and then that fell through because I've always wanted to go to the Himalayas there. And then I wanted to go and visit on this trip to go down into India and perhaps into Bangladesh. Both of those fell through. So I've been wandering around for 40 days, not as extensively as I would have liked. But mainly in Kathmandu and Kathmandu Valley, in and around Pokhara and around Lumbini. So it's basically a circle, including the various highways. The Pradeepi, I'm totally mispronouncing. There's the highway between Kathmandu and Pokhara, and it's a very beautiful highway right along the Trishuli River, the Trident River. Which is a tributary of the Ganges, as so many of the rivers here in Nepal are. And then the beautiful Siddhartha Highway between Pokhara and Lumbini, which, because it's monsoon season, had tons of waterfalls. It's just lush rainforest. It's very, very lovely jungle. So huge ferns, mosses hanging from trees, lichens, a huge variety of flora and fauna. And then the highway, the Mahindra Highway from Lumbini back to Kathmandu, which of course was a very long, it wound up being 14 hours from the time of getting to the bus in the morning till getting into the hotel. So it made for a very long day, but it was a very beautiful day. Because I really enjoy bus rides. I like to ride with the people and see the landscapes and see how the people travel themselves. So just a little bit of reflection. I didn't get to go to Bhaktipur, you know, other than like right around the edges for bus trips. So, you know, I didn't get to that Durbar Square, so I went to the two Durbar Squares at Patan and Kathmandu, both of which were worthwhile. I really liked the Patan Durbar Square, including the museum is quite worthwhile, especially when you've just arrived into Kathmandu. So it gives you a good overview of Buddhism and Hinduism within the area, and it's a lovely location. Also, I got to go out to Dhulikhel and Nagarkot and Panoti. Panoti is a beautiful confluence town with rivers that converge, that then move their way down to the Ganges. And it was such a peaceful, beautiful area with old Nuari style brick and woodwork. That was lovely. And then Dhulikhel was quite worthwhile, and I really enjoyed the walk from there to Namo Buddha. That was beautiful. And also Nagarkot was very worthwhile. I took the short 2.5 kilometer nature walk while it was raining through the forest, got a ton of leeches, but it was a beautiful experience, and it was so lovely back there. And I'd like to have done the panoramic hike, but I didn't have the time. I would, you know, coming back, I would certainly go back to Nagarkot. And I really enjoyed Pokhara. Pokhara was beautiful. I went to Sarangkot, And I didn't do the walk up there because of the rain. It's a lot of it's monsoon season. I've been here from the end of July to the beginning of September, so a lot of torrential downpours. Earlier today here in Boudnath, the roads were like muddy rivers. It was coming down so hard, and that was that was an interesting experience. But anyway, I really enjoyed Pokhara, and I did get to see the mountains a number of times that came through the clouds, almost like they were floating up there, like cities in the sky. And I saw them from the Japanese Peace Pagoda, the Shanti Stupa over Fiwa Lake. So it just was stunning. And that's a beautiful pagoda anyway. And so you have really beautiful views. I highly recommend that one. Going out on the boat on Fiwa Lake was definitely worthwhile. Spending a few days contemplating in the rainforest or the jungle around Pokhara down by Boudnath Lake was very much worthwhile. There were, it's like the rainforest there. There are trees and ferns growing on the boughs up in the tree line, or up in the canopy, I should say. So it's just like, it's really beautiful. And the cicadas were singing, the monsoon frogs were out. So were the leeches, of course, but the leeches generally aren't a major problem. Once they get their fill, they drop off you. It's not a major problem. And so anyway, I had some really beautiful experiences around Pokhara. I went and checked out Seti Gorge and at a few different points along the Seti River. Unfortunately, the timing didn't work out with the daylight. I got there kind of late. And checking out Davies Falls was very nice. It's very beautiful. And then going down to Lumbini, checking out the monastic sections of the Sacred Garden. That was amazing, just kind of an architectural tour, a tour of various traditions of Buddhism from around the world. That was amazing. And just to be in the evening, at night before they close, to go down by the sacred pond and sit and just contemplate, near the sacred pond and the Ashoka pillar and the giant Bodhi trees. So there were many, many beautiful experiences because it's a very peaceful place down by Lumbini. And so I would go back and spend time around Lumbini. I didn't get to go and see the Kapila Vastu ruins. There are a number of ancient sites that I wanted to go to, including a stupa that has relics of the Buddha that was not opened by Ashoka, Emperor Ashoka 2,300 years ago. So I'd love to go back to that area. I didn't get to go to any of the national parks like Chitwan. And there are quite a few, Koshi, and Natural Wildlife Reserve or whatever. And Bardia, and I didn't get to go to Ilam, the tea plantations. 40 days sounds like a lot of time, but it goes by very quickly. I had limited resources and limited time this time, so I made the best of it, and I enjoyed every step of the way. The Nepali people have been quite kind, quite generous. They helped us out. I was having some issues initially with the visa on arrival because none of the ATMs were working and I didn't have any cash. It just like a bunch of things came together in a weird way, but it all worked out and I was looked out after, and I really appreciate the Nepali people for looking out. I met a number of kind people from the very beginning, because oftentimes transitions, if you're a traveler, you know that borders are often problematic. That's often where we wind up in the most difficulty, because at borderlands, at transition points, we're often running on lack of sleep. We haven't eaten. Where our muscles are sore from various modes of transport. Maybe before the trip began, we weren't getting enough sleep because we were preparing for our trip and packing, and so it becomes very stressful. And then you're in a place of uncertainty. You don't know the lay of the land, and people can come and take advantage. So it's often a point of danger, a point of difficulty, a point of challenge. And so I found that overall, the transition points, I learned a lot about myself on this trip, but I also found that the transitions were not as challenging as I found them to be at earlier places in my life, like say upon first arriving in Calcutta in India, or Mumbai, or arriving in Yangon in Myanmar, or arriving in Cambodia at the border. those would prove more challenging. So this worked out very nicely. I appreciate the Nepali people very much. Of course, they're humans, so you're going to run into issues no matter what. But it was at a bare minimum. And actually, I had beautiful bookends because people looked out after me at the very end when I was low on cash, and it just all worked out beautifully. And I'm really thankful for the Nepali people. I really pray that I get a chance to come back and visit and do some trekking and explore more around Lumbini and around the Kathmandu Valley. And anyway, I really appreciate the Nepali people. This land is stunning. There's so much heritage here. It's so diverse. In the people's faces, I could see, Africa, I could see Europe, I could see Southeast Asia, East Asia, Tibet. Like I saw so many faces here, all varieties of colors, and it's a very amazing place. And I know I keep on saying amazing, but I really mean it, and I appreciate the people in the place. There are so many, there's, like I said, great food here. There are great book selections around Tamil, like at Pilgrim Books, Tibet Books. And I really love the Boudnath area. Tamil is worth experiencing, but in the future, if I'm blessed to come back here, I would love to spend more time at Boudnath. And by the way, with Boudnath, what's interesting is, like, you can see here, if you look around here, they've got water set out for the dogs. They've got, like, people are always feeding the birds. We've got pigeons here, right here that are sleeping on a stoop. They're not even afraid to sleep up, higher. So that's kind of interesting. So it's a very calm, peaceful place here at Boudnath. Lumbini was the same. I found that overall it's been a beautiful experience, and a 40 days very well spent. And when you end a trip and you're already thinking about what you would do on the next trip, then a place has won your heart, and that it's been a beneficial and worthwhile experience. And this fully has. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this to a close. But in ending, I would say, generally, if you're coming to Nepal, for some people it's going to be a once in a lifetime experience. If you are looking to do trekking and come here for excellent weather, my understanding is like October till mid-December is excellent, and March and April are amazing, and that's when the rhododendrons bloom, and it's excellent weather, and you see the big peaks all the time as you take drives around. But if it's not a once in a lifetime trip, then I think that it could be really worthwhile to come during the monsoons and have that experience, because it's quite beautiful in some different ways. And like just the beautiful rice paddies and the lush jungles and the waterfalls and the raging rivers. And when it's, during those other times of year, you can, the rivers are some of the best rivers for rafting in the world and kayaking. There's so many activities to do here in Nepal. But it's also a good place to kind of kick back. If you're writing a book, you want to just contemplate a bit, you could do meditation retreats, yoga retreats all over, or your own. Just do them on your own. Like, it's possible to go and get a room at a guest house, rent a little spot for a while, and have your meals taken care of. It's very vegetarian friendly. And then if you're a meat eater, there are lots of options with that. But I appreciate the vegetarian friendly nature of the place. So anyway, there's so many spiritual hotspots here, such a diversity among the people, and it's just the range of diversity within the landscapes between the flat Terai with all its national parks and jungles and rivers, and then the middle hill region where the Kathmandu Valley is and where Pokhara is, and the tea plantations in the east out by Sikkim and Darjeeling, and then of course the Himalayas, and then you've got the rain shadow of the Himalayas up by Mustang, which is an area I really want to go and check out at some point. So anyway, I highly recommend it. And I've come to appreciate it and love it very much so. It's one of my very favorite places in the world now, and also within South Asia. And I wish the people all the best in their endeavors, and may they be able to work through their various issues in a healthy, excellent manner, and be of benefit to the people around the world. Because I think the Nepali people have so much to offer the world, and much of it is by people coming here and experiencing how they live, and their foods and their cultures. This is a great place for people who are interested in architecture, who are interested in contemplation and comparative contemplation, who are interested in spirituality and religion, who are interested in South Asian history and human history. So, and then the cuisines, the music and art. There's so much. I had a beautiful experience coming down out of Nagarkot, just like the bus driver. It was such a beautiful day, and the bus driver was playing some great music, and it was just like it was such a beautiful experience. Whereas I was on another bus where a guy was just insisting on playing nonstop, kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like music videos. There was and that got to be a little bit repetitive because some of the songs would be like super long, and so it was an interesting contrast. But it wasn't a bad experience either. That was also a Nepali experience. I learned a lot on this trip. Maybe I'll reflect upon some of the things that I learned during this trip in future videos. But my time is drawing near. For leaving. I have to get on the plane in a few hours. So while the stupa's lit up, I wanted to do a quick little review of these past 40 days. And anyway, this is a time I just want to wish all of the travelers well, be safe as you make your journeys. And it is such a transformative experience to travel. Backpacking is like, you will change as a person depending on how you take your approach. I think that backpacking, it's not for everybody, but it's done wonders for me. And just spending time in nature, contemplating, and Nepal is great for that. South Asia is great for that, but these kind of travels will challenge you. Although I would say overall, Nepal is not as challenging as, say, the Gangetic Plains of India. Those are a lot more challenging from my perspective, where I almost feel like I need a meditation retreat as bookends before I start and when I end, just to decompress and be able to deal with everything that you're dealing with a lot of extroverted people and people who, anyway, I won't go into, but India is very complex. And here, coming back from Lumbini, which is a very meditative experience, it was interesting just arriving in a kind of more intense section of Kathmandu during rush hour. So it did put a little pressure and stress upon me arriving that it reminded me of some times in India. But also, I can also see how far I've come and see that I've gained tools that have enabled me to deal with various stressful situations in a healthier manner. And I'm intending to keep on working through these things because traveling will test you, and it also will give you a way to gauge your progress and to strategize as to how you're going to deal with things moving forward. So I'll go ahead and draw this to a close, but here we are, the last night of a 40-day journey in Nepal, with the bookends beginning in Kathmandu, ending in Kathmandu, but beginning in Tamil and ending in Boudnath. So kind of beginning in a more touristy, kind of high energy place where they're like unsing it through the night with their party music, and then coming someplace that people are doing prostrations and walking mindfully around a stupa. So it's exactly what I needed, and I received many gifts here, and I think that you will too if you get the blessing to come to a location like Nepal. So everybody, be happy, be peaceful, be healthy, and may you be safe from all harm. Peace.